Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Illinois, we're going to get to talk again. I got to say, I could go months and months and never say anything about Illinois. And then when something happens out there, it happens fast and furious. And there seems to be a new story every couple of days. This is another one of them. We're going to be talking to you about the case of Scchoenthal v. Raoul. This was a challenge to Illinois' ban on carrying firearms on public transportation, probably the last place in the state of Illinois you want to go unarmed. As we know, a judge has found those portions of the law unconstitutional and enjoined their enforcement. Of course, that then led state attorneys to write a motion to reconsider. Basically, they wanted a stay of that injunction. And then, of course, pointed out that within a couple of days of the ruling, 4 people had already been shot on public transportation, insinuating that the judge's order might have had something to do with it. Farthest thing from the truth, but there's a lot going on in this case. There's a lot to digest, and I think, Illinois, you need to understand what, if anything, this really means to you. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about, can you carry a firearm on Illinois public transportation right now? Okay, hey, before we get going too far down the road, we're going down. Just want to remind everyone out there in Illinois, yes, we are coming your way next week. That's right, road trip time brought to us by our good friends at Right to Bear. So listen, if you haven't heard, we're going to be in East Dundee at Gat Guns on Monday, October 14th and Tuesday, October 15th. Then on Wednesday, October 16th, we are going to be out at Naperville visiting our good friend Rob Beavis at Law Weapons. And then the new date that was added, Thursday, October 17th, we're going to be at South Post Guns in Streator, Illinois. Now listen, there is a link so that you can register for any one of these events. It's right there. It's also down there in the description box. We've already talked to a couple of other pretty cool guests that might be willing to come by, including Greg Bishop and Rhonda Ezell. So we hope to see them there as well. Illinois, can't wait to see all of you next week. Once again, October 14th through 17th at these locations, brought to us by our good friends at Right to Bear. Okay, we are talking about the case of Scchoenthal v. Raoul again. This was a successful challenge to Illinois' ban on carrying firearms on public transportation. Apparently, a lot of people haven't gotten that memo because every time I pick up an Illinois newspaper, I see that there is a tremendous amount of violence occurring on public transportation. Gee, I wonder why lawful and responsible citizens would want to protect themselves. The judge in this case has found the law unconstitutional and issued an injunction. But Illinois, this is what I want you to be very, very aware of. The judge has issued the injunction for the 4 named plaintiffs in the lawsuit. He did not enjoin the law for everybody in the state of Illinois. So if you're carrying a firearm onto public transportation and you're not one of those 4 named plaintiffs, you are probably still in violation of Illinois law. Please be aware of that. Now, we did this video right here because the judge was getting all huffy and puffy because, for whatever reason, when the state's attorneys asked for the judge to stay the injunction, they also wanted to throw some shade on him with a little side note like, oh, by the way, a couple of days after you issued your order, 4 people were shot in Illinois public transportation. Of course, the insinuation there was, that it was the judge's order that cost those 4 people their lives. Well, the judge was none bit too happy and actually ordered a special hearing just to address this issue. And we did this video right here and we're like, wow, someone's going to get a big all smackdown coming. Well, one of the things that I have learned from spending the last 26 years essentially living in a courtroom is that all judges have a lot of bark, but only some of them have some bite. And it would appear here that U.S. District Court Ian D. Johnston, and I mean no disrespect to his honor, was certainly a lot more bark than it was bite. Yeah, he got into it pretty good with the Illinois state attorneys, but ultimately were any of them sanctioned for this absolutely tasteless and baseless comment in the memorandum? Nope, not at all. They got chewed out, and that was essentially what happened. What else happened is that their request for a stay of the injunction was denied. So if you are one of the 4 named plaintiffs, congratulations, you get to protect your life while you're moving around on Illinois public transportation. If you're any other lawful and otherwise responsible Illinois resident, good luck to you. You're still taking life into your own hands. Now, I want to thank Greg Bishop and Bishop on Air for doing this article that I used to geek out about, get myself educated for this video. And by the way, Greg's going to be joining us out there in Illinois. So if you guys are going to come by and see us at one of those events, make sure you Give Greg big thanks because he has been doing a fantastic job of keeping you all educated and informed out there in Illinois. But here's the thing we need to understand. Other than one mildly heated exchange between an Illinois state attorney and the judge, there wasn't a lot to report about. We're going to go ahead and link up Bishop On Air's article down below so that you guys could actually understand what was specifically said in the court. Now, the state of Illinois had asked for a stay of the injunction because they're under the impression that if this ruling stands, there's just going to be hundreds of thousands of people taking firearms onto mass transit. Now, according to some of the stories I read in the Chicago Tribune and other places, it appears that there are thousands of people already taking firearms onto mass transit. I don't think any of them are doing so legally or responsibly. But again, when has Illinois ever been worried about cracking down on those people? No, instead they look for the lawful and responsible Illinois gun resident. But here's what I want you to understand, Illinois, is that unless you're one of the four named plaintiffs, you are not yet in a position where you can actually carry firearms onto public transportation. That day may soon come. That day may come. It may not happen soon because we know about how the Illinois court system and the Seventh Circuit works. This is obviously not the end of the story. This is only the beginning of what is going to be a very long story challenging this otherwise unconstitutional law. The case, once again, is Scchoenthal v. Raoul. We'll link that up down below so that you can geek out on that. We'll link up Greg Bishop's article down below so you can geek out on that as well. We look forward to seeing all of you next week, either in East Dundee, Naperville, or Streator. In the meantime, if you guys got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, tell us by clicking on that link right there. It's probably going to be better than any idea we come up with. If you just want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, all the ability and information on how to do that is right down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.